Hey guys, it's Alpha, and in today's video we're going to be learning how to create blocks in MCreator. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and open the MCreator application and open up our tutorial mod workspace. And in here we can see our items from last episode, but today we're actually going to be creating a block. So we're going to go ahead and press the plus and go to block. And here we're going to enter the name of the block. So we're going to go ahead and do tin ore to start. Like so. We're going to do capital T, capital O, as it's a capital at the start of each word. And that will automatically filter the register name to tin_ore. And we're going to press create new block. And here we've got the block model and texture. So as you can see here, we've got different block models. So normal is where you have 6 different faces of the block, like so, for each face having a unique texture. However, if you're going to have a block that has the same texture on every side, you're going to go ahead and go for single texture, which for an ore, it typically is the same texture on every side. And that is what I've done for the texture of the tin ore. So I'm going to select single texture, and then it's only got one option here where I'm going to import my texture of tin ore. So here we are. I've got my 3 textures of the blocks that we're going to be making today. So we're going to start with tin ore and select that one. And there we go. And then block item texture. So that's if you want a different texture for your block when it's in your hand. Or you can just stick with this one, leave that blank, and it will just use this standard texture just here, which is what we're going to go ahead and do. And then you've got block particle texture if you want particles when it breaks. But we don't need that, it's an ore. Most ores don't have that, so we're going to leave that blank. And for the block base, this is like different, types of blocks. So you've got different shapes of block, but obviously ore is just a default basic, fully cube block. It's not like leaves or a wall or a different smaller hitbox, it's just a default basic block. And then rotation mode is for things like where you've got logs. So here you go, log rotation. So where the trunk faces you, where when you place it down, the trunk will always be facing you. And you've got other ones where it will always face a certain direction, but we don't need that because it's the same texture on every side. It doesn't really matter about rotation. And then visual rendering. So if you want it to have slight transparency, we don't need that because it's a solid block of ore. But there's definitely some options on there that you can tinker around with and see how they work. And tint is another thing, but we don't need to do any of that, and we don't need any random offset of the model either. Next, bounding boxes. So this will default be 16 by 16 by 16 because the block itself is 16 pixels in each direction. So the hitbox, basically the collision box, so that you can stand on it and walk against it, will be 16 by 16 by 16. If you made this smaller, then you'd be able to slightly clip inside of the block. Just like you can with honey and slime box, where you can go into it by like 1 pixel, and soul sand, for example, you sink in by a pixel, so that will have 15 or 14 or so on the whiteboard. But we want our block to be fully solid, so 16 by 16 by 16. Block states we don't need to edit here. Same with animations, we don't need to edit anything about that. Properties, so we've got our tin ore, our hardness, so that's how long it takes to mine the block. Resistance, so this is how strong it is against explosives. If it's unbreakable, so like bedrock. Luminance, so how much it light emits, how much it glows basically. Light opacity, so how much light goes through it. So we ours is fully opaque, so we don't want any light to go through, so we're going to do a value of 15. Has gravity, so like sand or gravel. Emissive rendering, so if it has a glow like the magma block, then you can do that, but we don't need that. Is replaceable, so like when you place a block inside of tall grass, it replaces the tall grass. We don't want that. We don't want blocks to replace the block when you place a block on them. Does the block have an item form? Yes, of course. If you use silk touch, you'll get the ore. Max stack size 64. Yeah. Common, rarity. Immune to fire is just like how a block of ancient debris is immune to burning and fire. If you want that to be the case, then you can check that. Creative inventory tabs. So this is a natural block because it's an ore, so we'll put it in natural blocks. Custom drop. So if you want it to drop itself like old Minecraft does, then you can. However, modern Minecraft does drop raw tin, so we're going to select that instead. And then it drops 1 raw tin for each ore. If you want it to drop experience like you get for mining redstone ore, then you can do that. Creative pick item, so you know, it'll just be this itself, so you can leave that blank, leave empty for the default item, which will be itself. Requires the correct tool for drops. We want to enable that, sorry, and select pickaxe. So you need to have a pickaxe to be able to mine it and actually get anything out of it. And the tier of pickaxe that we want to be able to have mine it will be stone. Just like iron, you need a stone pickaxe to mine it. And if you want any additional harvest conditions, then you can add them in there, but we're fine with how it is. For the sound set of properties that, you know, the sound set that the block makes, we're going to go ahead and use a ore or stone. So we'll see if there's a certain ore in here. Iron we could use, but I think stone is more appropriate for this one. So we're going to use stone. And then we've got advanced properties. So anything you need to change here. So when a note block is placed on top of it, you can have a certain specific block here. I'm just going to put bass drum because why not? And then you've got lots of other things here that you can go through and edit if you do wish so. Block entity, we don't need to change any of this either. Entity and fluid storage, or energy and fluid storage, we don't want to touch any of that. Triggers, don't want to touch any of that either. And generation, we don't need to touch today either. So we're going to save the mod element. And there we go. We've got our tin ore block done. So now we can move on to our next block, which will be the block of tin. So we're going to call this one tin block, like so. It'll be a single texture. I'm going to import tin block. Lovely. So we won't need to change any of these items here. I'm going to change the in-game name to block of tin. Because I believe the block of iron is called block of iron, not iron block. And same with gold, block of diamond, block of emerald, block of redstone, you know, all that same stuff. I believe it's block of rather than the item and then block. I'm going to leave the values of hardness and resistance the same as they are by default, but you can change that if you like. Max stack size, all of that stuff. Creative inventory tabs I will change. I'll put that as building blocks. And requires the correct tool for drops. Yep, pickaxe, and it will be stone. And the vanilla sound set for this one will be metal. Or iron, rather. There we go. Advanced properties, we will put it as iron on this one because it's like a big metal block. And nothing else needs to be changed. So we're going to save the mod element and move on to the last block, which will be raw tin block, single texture, raw tin block. There we go. Put that texture in there, and then block of raw tin as the name. And then creative inventory tabs, I'll put this as building blocks as well. Requires a pickaxe, stone, lovely. Sound set will be yeah, I think iron will be the best one for this. Maybe stone. Oh, there's a metal block. I see. So what was the other one I did? Iron. Let's try the metal sound set for that one. There we go. And we'll save that. And now we've got our 3 blocks that we've just created. And we can press build and run. So we can launch the modded Minecraft client. There we go, so we can join our test world. Here we are. And we should now see in the natural blocks section, we should see the tin ore. Lovely. There's our tin ore. Looks great. And in the building blocks, we should see, there we go, block of tin and block of raw tin as well. There we are. So there's our 3 custom blocks, and they look great. They look very vanilla friendly. They look like they belong in the game. If I compare them to the iron counterparts, for example, so the block of iron, the iron ore, and block of raw iron. There you go. You can see they look very, you know, they have very similar vanilla friendly textures, but they also do look very unique, and they don't, you know, look the same as iron. So I think they look really good, and it's going to be a great addition to the game once we've finished with the mod. As always, if you do want to use these textures yourself, you can access all of my files that I use in this series by joining the channel as a member at the file access tier, which is only 99p per month, or you can join as an exclusive member, which means you get all of the file access, early access to videos, exclusive videos, priority reply to comments, and shoutouts in the videos. And if you want to learn how to set up your own Minecraft server to run your mod, then go ahead and click this video just here. But anyway guys, that is everything for today's video. I hope you've enjoyed, and you now know how to make blocks in MCreator. In next week's video, we're going to move on to creating crafting and smelting recipes, so then we can turn our raw tin into tin ingots. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.